been southbound, I've been hellbound, riding on the midnight train. Going too fast now, think I'll slow down, standing in the pouring rain.
What's going on, guys? Tristan and Tony back with another episode of the One Hell of a Life Outdoor Podcast. And today we got on Carson Lee, and he is out of North Florida. He's a duck hunter, and he's a firefighter EMT, and just seems like a good dude. He just is out there hunting a lot and guides some hunts, and it seems like we know some of the same people, so we wanted to have him on the podcast and just shoot the shit and talk some Florida duck hunting. So, Carson, thank you for coming on tonight, man.
Man, thanks for having me. It's an honor.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, we're excited to dive into it. And we were last week on the podcast, we were talking a lot about Arkansas, so now we can kind of shift back into some good marsh talk. But,
that's right.
So, Carson, for everybody listening, man, just kind of give everyone a quick, background of, where you from and how'd you get into the outdoors and all that good stuff.
Oh man, I'm from Jacksonville, and I've been up in Jacksonville pretty much my whole life, but I got into duck hunting with my stepdad. Mm-hmm. And he first introduced me to hunting, going to little wood duck holes, and pretty much just sleeping in the boat till I heard a gun go off. Until one year when I was finally like, I want to try this out. So here we are.
Were you pretty young, I guess, when you were going to the wood duck holes?
Yeah, I was six or seven, I think.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's how it usually goes with young kids. It seems like.
Yeah.
But it's just about getting them out there, and you know that.
Yeah, it's you having somebody bait your hook for you, basically. Not anybody that heard that. We're not talking about baiting a hole.
Yeah.
We would never tell you that we baited a hole.
Yeah.
So just leave it at that. We would never ever tell you our secrets. And because if this is the first time you're listening to this, especially if you work for any type of wildlife law enforcement, please understand that we do not break the laws. With that said, we're not going to tell you anything else.
Well, hey, let's put it this way: if we did, we wouldn't be traveling outside of Georgia to duck hunt.
That's right.
There's ducks here. Yeah. It's just people. You would have to do something like that to be killing them consistently here.
Yeah, no. I mean, in all seriousness, it's fun to joke around about this stuff. I mean, the Elon Musk thing about did you know?
Oh yeah, the AI thing.
Yeah, about
your probability of killing ducks goes up 100% if you
if you bait the hole with corn.
Yeah,
dude, I was dying.
No, but anyway, Carson. So you're a firefighter EMT, and then you guide duck hunts on the side, pretty much.
Yeah. I work a ton during the summer and whatnot for all my buds at Kingfish, and then they work in the winter for me, so I can go out and duck hunt nonstop.
Oh, well, that's a pretty good trade-off.
Heck yeah. So did you just participate? Wasn't there a recent Kingfish tournament?
There was, actually, yeah. A couple of my buddies. Yeah, a couple of my buddies were in it.
Nice, isn't it? I thought I saw a post from one of my friends that said something about it's not a really big one, but it's been around for like a long time or something. Is that right?
No, yeah. I think they've had over 100 tournaments for that specific one.
Golly.
Yeah, because, I mean, Jacksonville's got, I'm pretty, the Kingfish thing's a big thing in Jacksonville, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're somebody if you make the A-list for Kingfish, I think.
Talk about an expensive hobby, though, man. We think duck hunting's expensive. God.
Oh. Yeah. Oh man.
So you just got a one thing I want to dive in. Hopefully I'm not opening up a sore spot, but I know you just got that new boat recently, and the new motor and all that, man. What's the status of that? How's that going?
Boat's going good. We were talking about how you think you got something down pat and you're all excited, and then you show up and it's all changed, but. Yeah. I mean, stuff happens, but we definitely got it fixed up, and it's actually in the shop right now getting some lights put on and whatnot. But it should be good to go here in about a week.
Good deal. And is it a Prodigy with the gator tail, or what'd you get with the gator tail?
Yeah, it's a 1650 flat bottom Prodigy with a Gator tail 40.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a good motor, man. That thing will eat.
Well, I think Carson's on the fence still if it's a good motor or not.
Oh yeah. Did something happen?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't. No,
yeah,
I didn't know.
my bad. I didn't fill my dad in, but
No.
yeah. Carson had posted on Facebook. You can fill him in, Carson, and kind of tell a story if you want to. But I guess he was having some issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, within like the first month, I had to replace the trim switch, head gaskets, push rods.
Wow.
Actually, it was just Coloniter rocker roller that went bad, so they replaced that, and then the high pressure fuel pump. And I hope.
Do you want coffee that doesn't suck? Get the Duck. Dirty Duck coffee is made specifically for the waterfowl enthusiast. Enjoy flavors like Morning Wood, Dark Dynasty, Cinnamon Teal Snickerdoodle, and First Flight to unlock the flavor that you'll enjoy in the blind for years to come. Our friends at Dirty Duck Coffee Company are now offering all Zero Duck 30 followers a 15% discount when you use code ZeroDuck15 on your next order.
That's it, but
Was that on a new motor?
no, not
Okay.
a brand new motor.
I got
But,
you.
I mean, it wasn't an old motor per se.
How many hours did it have on it, or roughly? Did you know?
80.
8. Oh, that's not nothing.
80.
Yeah,
Yeah,
80
that's
hours.
not-
That's just broken in, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like I don't know. What did the mechanics say? Did they think that was from any abuse by the previous owner or anything?
No, I knew the previous owner. And
Oh, okay.
it sounded like he babied it a good bit. So
Yeah.
maybe just hours or faulty. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like something just wasn't quite right. I mean, obviously, we have zero endorsements from Gator Tail, and as a matter of fact, I won't even get into it. Last year, they made me mad, but at the show, they that. Oh, here's a good way to say it. You know that meme that went around with the Family Guy where it says the difference between bow hunters and gun hunters, and they're like standing in suits.
Yeah, the
Oh,
bow
yeah.
hunters are all in suits.
Yeah, the bow hunters are all in suits, but anyway, that's the kind of the feeling I got from them was just like, oh, well, if you're not looking to buy something right now, we don't have time to talk to you.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow, these guys are pretty.
Yeah, but who knows? It's a long show, and
Well, they could have been involved in a real important meeting, or who knows,
Yeah.
whatever. But from a product standpoint, I mean, I don't think Gator Tail could have the reputation they have if they didn't consistently put out a good product. But there's always going to be an exception to the rule, right?
Yeah, totally. I mean,
I'm sorry that you got that.
It's all good. That's why it's called Boat. Break out another 1,000.
yeah.
I hadn't heard that. Since I broke out another 1,000.
I think kind of following and looking at your other boat setup, it's kind of a similar story arc to like our boat journey too. Like we had, and I'm interested, the reason I bring it up is because I'm kind of interested to see like why you went to a different boat and just get into that. But we had a 6 or 8 foot longtail off the back of just a little John boat. Nothing crazy, but a good starter duck boat. And just started having some issues and kind of critical situations like on a river in Arkansas. And that was kind of the turning point where like, man, we need something like reliable just from a safety standpoint. But, obviously just wanting to put ourselves in the most successful position possible. So I'm just kind of curious to dive into that and what kind of prompted you to get the new boat.
Yeah, the little boat was great for about one area that I hunt. Outside of that, I mean, it's either a distance thing for fuel or, it's a popular spot, so you're trying to race people.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, a little 14-foot John boat's pretty awesome, but, with the new boat, I'll be able to go scout a lot more and get in some deeper stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I mean, flat bottom with a gator tail, I mean, realistically, what you can get into 8-10 inches of water with that setup, or even less than that, can't you? I mean,
Yeah. I took it out the other day, and I think I was in about 4 inches going over a sandbar.
Wow. Yeah, because I've seen video, where it's basically just mud and people are, just cruising right on through. It's nuts. But really, in the type of environments that you encounter in the marsh, especially with, like, tidal stuff, like, I mean, that's a big deal to have that kind of setup,
Oh, yeah, entirely.
No, it's. I think. Well, I mean, it can be a lifesaver. I mean, from being stuck in that tidal mud. I mean, those things. I had no idea when I bought the thing. I was just. I mean, I won't go down that whole reason why I bought what I bought, because this is not about me. It's about you. But the thing is that, I had no idea what the capabilities of what a good surface drive motor could do. And we got a good buddy of ours that we were out hunting, and you know how the black belly whistlers, they like to roost out on those. I call them floating islands. I know there's a term for them. What are they called?
I don't know.
I've always called them floating islands.
Yeah, they're like floating islands. But if you're listening to this and wondering what the hell we're talking about, is like basically when you're in like coastal areas and stuff of Florida, you'll find these areas that you would swear that you'd walk right off. You're on land and you're walking along and you're like, oh, I'm going to keep walking on land. There's a brushy, I would call it, looks like an overgrown CRP field. All right. With some little trees growing up and stuff. And you're like, and guess what? Next, you could be going through 15 foot of water and go right through that stuff. It's pretty scary. But
we, when I was hunting a couple years ago down in like southwest Florida with SoFlo Outdoors, he pushed an island. Like we were going out to this. It was just general public area or whatever, and the channel. He's like, this isn't normally here, and we literally like pushed this island out of the way with this boat, and then just continued on our way.
That's some Florida shit right there, boy.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because 2 seasons ago I was with SoFlo.
Oh, really?
Down there. And yeah, the same thing happened. We parked and we cut the lights. We were waiting for shooting lights.
Were y'all on public land or were you at the STAs?
Public.
Okay, we were probably at the same area then, I bet.
Probably, yeah.
Well, yeah, it's the same area, because SoFlo's taking that island unknown to you guys, and he blocks off the areas and keeps everybody from getting to it. Yeah. And then he's like, oh yeah, nobody else hunts this area. Yeah, they don't unless they have a freaking airboat. I want to call and give him some shit about that.
That's funny.
Yeah, we were actually sitting there, and by the time shooting light came around, I was like, hey man, where'd the decoys go? And then we looked and they were behind us. We were like, oh, we did a little 360.
Did y'all have any luck down there?
We had a bunch of. It could have been a really great hunt if just a couple things had changed, but it was late season, so
yeah.
I feel like if you're not on the X, you're not really gonna get on them too good that late in the season.
Right. Yeah. I think it was probably the same year too that I hunted with them 2 years ago. I went during like Thanksgiving weekend, or like maybe it was Thursday before or Friday after Thanksgiving, somewhere around that time frame. And we ended up shooting like 10 or 11 ringnecks. Ended up being a pretty good hunt.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, ringers are always fun.
Oh yeah.
Well, and that was the first time you'd ever witnessed somebody calling in ringnecks landing in the spread.
Yeah, it was. I've never seen ringnecks like decoy like that. And I mean, outside of if you're just at the right spot they want to be at, and then they're just coming in. But like, there was a few times where he for sure called them in with, just normal like mallard call, like called these ringnecks in. And I'm like, okay, that's different. But I don't know what he was running late season, Carson, but like he had a shit ton of motion in his decoy spread. So I don't know if that had to do with it or what.
Oh yeah, late season, it's a dozen decoys and eight forms of motion.
Yeah.
And it's funny you talk about calling in ringers, because my buddy Travis and I, we feel pretty confident when it comes to calling in diver ducks. I don't know why it works out so well, but they work.
Do you make the that type of just take your mallard call and do that kind of thing?
Yeah, they actually sell a diver call. I think Kade.
Yeah, Hayden makes it, I think.
Yeah, that's exactly it. But yeah, I mean, it's funny. We figured out what high pitch or slow pitch or what divers and whatnot. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, no, it is interesting. I guess if you're gonna find any level of consistent success throughout the year in Florida, you pretty much got to be able to hunt divers, huh? Just because as the season goes on, and stuff changes.
Yeah, it's funny. Last year we started off really hot for the first couple weeks in terms of puddle ducks, and I have a pretty good idea, at least, of where in the state they might be as the front pushes down. But yeah, we went from being on them really hot, and then we had like a 2-week span where we had to go shoot divers because we lost their flight path and just had no clue where they were.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, and you can attest to this more than we can, but every time we get talking Florida duck hunting, it's just the amount of water is the challenge, right? I mean, just where they can go.
And then you have Floridians going, "It's a really wet year this year, and now it really sucks." You're like, "Yeah, I get it." Well, and I think go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say it does suck. But at the same time, like when you got a lot of water, you're able to get back into those little pockets where the ducks want to be.
Right.
Sometimes all your airboat trails or whatnot, they'll dry up and you physically can't take your boat in there. Nobody wants to go walk a quarter mile, half mile to this 20 by 20 pocket of water where they're all at.
Yeah.
I think it's really hard for people that don't live in a coastal state to visualize puddle ducks in saltwater. Not only in saltwater, but what we call brackish water, which is just a mixture of salt and fresh water, if you don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Our tea is what I call it. It looks like tea. But I think it's really hard for somebody to envision that, to see a pintail sitting with some mangroves. You know what I mean? Because, the only thing we can imagine pintails doing in Arkansas is butt up in a rice field. And it just poses a totally different type of habitat and environment,
Yeah, it's interesting. I never really think about that either because I'm just so used to the mangroves and everything.
Right. Yeah, I know. It's just weird. And I'd imagine a lot of spots there around northeast Florida. It's a lot of brackish water, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just interesting to think about. And I would imagine in some of those areas, it's like, are they even really feeding in there for the most part? Or is it more they're just kind of hanging out in there?
Oh, they're definitely feeding. We got one area up here where on one end of it, you got nothing but salt water. And then on the other end of it, you got a natural spring that's flowing in constantly. And so, on the spring side, you'll have the best looking duck food year round. And you're always sitting there dumbfounded. You're like, man, why isn't this place loaded down with ducks? And, that's a whole nother conversation in terms of migration. But, yeah, they're there. You just got to find out where they want to be.
Yeah. That's, it's funny you say that because one of the things that's another common thing when you talk to Florida duck hunters, it's like everybody's had multiple instances where you find like this body of water and you're like, why are the ducks not here? It looks, there's literally the food here, the cover's here, and there's not there.
No.
And I imagine as, guiding hunts, you're probably running into looking at a lot of those spots before you find the good spots, huh?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
What do you, what do you find the most, what do you find what do you really love about when it comes to waterfowl hunting in Florida? Like, kind of dig into that a little bit. Like, obviously you're passionate about it, but what kind of drives your passion? Because I think it's important to talk about that kind of thing. Because if you're say a Floridian and you're looking to get into duck hunting and you might not even understand duck hunting in Florida, it doesn't click with a lot of people. You know what I mean? Because the visual from a Midwest perspective, it's not the same at all.
Yeah, I feel like out in the Midwest and whatnot, it's just a part of your life for most people out there. It's
right.
Duck hunting in general. Man, Florida duck hunting though. There's something very self-rewarding. At least I only hunt public land, but it's very rewarding to, especially when you put in the work, find the ducks, and then when you get to see a group of teal ringers, models, whatever they might be, that are just so locked in on your position. No matter what you do, they're going to land.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it sounds cheesy, but it's like Christmas morning on opening day when you put in all that scouting work and here they come.
I bet.
But yeah, and then it just makes it, you just know that you did everything right in terms of setting up the decoys, playing the wind. Yeah, it's very rewarding.
Yeah, I bet.
Well, and arguably, if you're hunting a coastal area, it's some of the toughest damn duck hunting you'll do is Florida public land duck hunting, because if you have never experienced what it's like to hunt tides, or what it's like to sit when the tide goes out and you're stuck on a sandbar for, say, 6-7 hours with the sun beaming on you at 90 degrees during duck season, and you want to murder somebody. If you haven't went through that, then you really don't know what public hunting is like in Florida.
Well,
yeah, that happened a few seasons ago. I mean, we got stuck. We didn't even look at the tide. We just went out. And then by the time shooting time was over and we were packing it up, I was like, "Ooh, we're not getting out of here anytime soon."
Yeah, it makes for a long day.
Yeah, very, very irritating and short-tempered day for sure.
I've kind of said this for the last few years, but I feel like if you just look at it from like a pound for pound standpoint, because like we've hunted public in Florida and in like a state like Arkansas, and I understand like completely different in every facet of the way, but like pound for pound, just because of like Florida not having the amount of ducks but still having a lot of duck hunters, like to your point of it being difficult outside just that fact, like all the different environmental factors that you got to deal with, on top of that, alligators and whatever
Fishermen.
Fishermen. Yeah, like it's just it's a hard state to duck hunt, man.
Yeah, bird watchers, because you got a lot of snowbirds down there that, I want to become a bird watcher.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then that's when you see the Karen on TikTok.
Yeah, but they could also, it's also interesting to follow their Facebook pages and see what they're seeing.
That's right.
Oh man, I love their Facebook groups.
Especially when
I'm not saying I do it, but
especially when the best is when like they post something on there and call it, let's just say like a bluebill hen or whatever, and it's just like clearly something completely opposite, like completely different, and you're just looking at, like, you just go straight to the comments and it's just cold.
It's cold, yeah. I just saw one. It's funny you said that. So I just saw one that had the gadwall. The gadwall is a brown, black, and gray bird. And it started, I go, dude, what are you talking about? There's burgundy in that bird. What are you, man, dude, you're disrespecting the gadwall right out the gate. And I wanted to jump in on him, but I was like, nah, I'll let everybody else do it.
Yeah, that's about the only color the gadwall's got going for it.
yeah, is the burgundy.
We're pretty sure, Carson, like I would say probably 90% sure that there was 2 widgeon in the pond behind my dad's house last week, which is pretty crazy at this point in the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He got a video of it, and there's all these local mallards and geese that hang out, and throughout the year, I mean, you'll see every type of duck throughout the year, just not in big numbers, but it's interesting to see what comes through. But he took this video and we zoomed in on it. I'm like, dude, I'm pretty sure those are widgeon. So yeah. I don't know what they're doing, if they're not making it back to Canada or what.
Yeah, my buddy back in April was on a construction site right by this pond, and sent me a video of a few hundred blue-winged teal in there. I was like, what in the world are they doing hanging out in Jacksonville?
Yeah, right. I used to live over by like Old St. Augustine Road, yeah. And some apartments over there, and like if you get back, I don't really know, back by like there's these apartments and industrial park back over there. There's several retention ponds, and I would always drive around and see all kinds of stuff that was surprising to see, mostly ringnecks and just, maybe like ruddy ducks or something every once in a while. But, just randomly seeing like a pair of blue wings in like April or something like that. I would always be looking for stuff like that. Yeah,
you would definitely, if you saw something out of place, you're going to go like, on the side of the road and be like, what in the hell? Yeah,
I was fishing with my stepdad last summer, and it was like, I don't know, July or whatever, And we're sitting there. I see two ducks. I'm like, hey, check out these mergansers or whatever. And as they're about to fly by, I was like, hold on, those are blue-winged teal.
That's wild. That's early.
Yeah.
That is.
Yeah. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's crazy when you see the videos that every year it's inevitable somebody, offshore fishing and post a video of all these teal flying by. That's always wild to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we just had this pond lake that we have. It's there's I don't know how many houses that we have in our neighborhood that live on it, but they sit off the lake. They're not like right up on the lake, and so I mean at a lot of the points it's probably 200-300 yards across, and so we don't have a lot of people that I mean there's some paddle boaters out there, somebody on a trolling motor on a small little 2-seater bass raider like I got or something like that, but it doesn't get a lot of traffic back there. And it was just a month ago? It was in May or at the very end of April, I went down, and it's probably altogether I'd say it's anywhere 15, 18 acres, I'm guessing. And I went down around the corner to the shallower end, and I went down there and I'm like, dude, those don't look like mallards. And as I'm getting closer, I'm like, dude, those are blue wings. And next thing you know, they buzzed the tower on me, and but they didn't fly off like I'd seen ones before. They just went down to the other end of the lake and landed. They kind of did the bufflehead thing. They just get up off about a foot off the water and go over and land again. But yeah, I mean, that blew my mind. I was like, that bird, that's why we're blue-winged teal purists here, because it's the most remarkable bird on the planet. We started joking a couple years ago, Carson, because there's so many people that go to Arkansas, that are like, oh, I just want to shoot mallards. Like, just that's it. I want to shoot mallards. And we started joking about hunting in Florida. Like, we're blue-wing purists because, like, one, when it's early in the season or teal season, like how good they decoy, like for one, and it's like what you shoot, like, every other bird all season long when you're down there. So I'm like, I just started coming up. I made some stickers actually for a while that just said blue wing purist on it with a blue wing. But you know what? That's probably one I would put it up there. If you were to take all the waterfowlers, I would have to say that it would have to be one of those birds that's on people's bucket list to get fully plumed. Because unless you live in the South, in Texas, Louisiana, Florida, that kind of thing, and you hunt them late in the season, you're not getting one.
Yeah,
fully plumed.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I mean, I've probably shot, I don't even know how many blue-winged teal, dozens at this, and I still haven't gotten one because just the times that we're happen to be down there, there's just not, it's early in the season or we're late season and he's halfway plumed out or whatever. So I'm still trying to get that myself.
Yeah, I feel like every time I get a really nice plumed out blue-winged teal that comes in, he either catches me by surprise or I burn 3 shells and shoot other ducks that go right by it.
My favorite thing, this has got to be, I don't think we've ever talked about this. This has got to be a mistake that not all waterfowlers always make, but have made. And that is, dude, for some reason, a hen ringneck can turn a corner on you at lightning speed, and you would swear it's a blue-winged drake that's almost in full plume. Mm-hmm. Just that you can see they get they get a light mark there on the side of their face. And I don't know how many times where I'm like, teal, and then we shoot them, we're like, those are all hen ringnecks.
Yeah.
Speaking of hen ringnecks, one of the last times that we hunted down in Florida, it might have been when I was with Sofo actually, but I think I shot 5 ringnecks and they were all hens. I'm like, what the? Like, it's funny how that works out sometimes. It's just like the ratios.
Oh yeah, well I had a hunt on Thanksgiving Day, I think it was, up in Arkansas a couple years ago, and we shot a 3-man, and it was 17 spoony hens and a
wow.
Gadwall drake hen. I mean a Gadwall drake hen, a Gadwall hen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I went out to this one spot for the first time last year. My buddy told me, he's like, "Hey, just so you know, it's only going to be ringers." I was like, "All right, let's see what happens." And sure enough, within 15 minutes, we had 16 ringers.
Wow.
And then the last 2 ducks to jump in, he jokingly was like, "Hey, I'm gonna nail down on the mallard call," and he hit that call, and about 10 seconds later, we had 2 gadwall drop in out of nowhere.
Really?
At first, I looked at him and I was like, "Are those gadwall?" He's like, "I don't know what they are." He was like, "I know they're big ducks." I was like, "Yeah, shoot them now before they get out of here."
Listen up, guys. Waterfowl season will be here before you know it, so book a hunt today. Williamson Outfitters offers exceptional duck hunting along Florida's Forgotten Coast, targeting redheads, bluebills, buffleheads, canvasbacks, and much, much more. Lodging and fishing packages are also available. Mention the One Hell of a Life podcast when booking and get 15% off your next trip. Spots are filling up fast, so call or text Captain Chris at 850-251-8650 or visit floridaducks.com.
Now, I always feel like it's super, it's just cool, like in North Florida to shoot something like that, or really anywhere in Florida, like a gadwall or something like that. Because, I mean, at least in my experience, and like, tell me if this is different for you, Carson, but like, it's not every day that you run into birds like that, your widgeons, your gadwalls, your pintails, stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I feel like I have not found one spot, unless, it's some permit location that you can find all those birds in one area. Typically, whenever I shoot one, it's one specific spot. And gadwall especially, that's the one bigger puddle duck that I just don't see a whole lot of in North Florida. I know they got them pretty good on the panhandle and whatnot, but not in North Florida.
Yeah. No, I've never even, I mean, really, and granted, we don't get to hunt Florida all season long anymore, but like, just thinking back, like, I've never shot a shoveler in Florida. I think I've shot one or two green wings. Like, it's just, most of the time, it's just like ringnecks and blue wings. It just seems like,
Yeah, I get a, ringneck, blue wings, and then models. And for some reason, there's a few spots I hunt a good bit. We shoot a good bit of shovelers, but
that's cool.
Yeah, it's never a plumed out drake though. Those are the ones that are bulletproof as well.
Yeah. Well, one thing we've always thought is weird, and we were just discussing this a couple weeks ago. Like, so if you look at like the Pacific Flyway, right, and all of they're known for having like these gorgeous shovelers and gorgeous pintails. And they got a lot more numbers too. So, but it just seems like the majority of, like, everyone you see pictures of look great. And then in Florida, like the ones that are killed, like for the most part, I feel like you don't see that many like pintails with good sprigs or like good looking shovelers.
Yeah, I've noticed that as well. I know late season we had a youth hunt this past year, and oh man, it's youth hunts. I love them because I love getting the kids out there and just watching them, lose their mind shooting a duck. But go ahead.
Just to piggyback, like before you get in that story, I'm just curious. Is that the one that you have posted on your Instagram recently, where the guys are wearing Project Savior hats?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I was just wondering about. Let's get into that after the story. But I was just wondering, how you came across Project Savior and all that.
Oh yeah. But the youth hunter we had, I think we had at least 10 opportunities where we were just getting these plumed out drake shovelers at 15 yards, just hovering there. And yeah. I wanted to cry a couple times, but it's all right. He'll have a better shot next year.
Yeah, for sure. No, yeah, I saw those the Project Savior outdoor hats, and I was just wondering like how you got connected with those guys, because we going back like several years ago, like my dad and Mike Dragic, they used to work church security together. Going years back. Really? We had Mike on the podcast probably a year and a half ago or so, and my dad and him had done some veteran hunts and stuff over the years.
Oh, nice. Yeah, one of my coworkers, he's a captain on the fire department. He's really intertwined. His name's Justin Smith. And
okay.
He's close with Mike and all those guys. And I was talking to him about duck hunting, and I was like, hey, offer it up. I was like, let's go.
Yeah.
So we ended. That's another reason why I wanted a bigger boat, because there's actually a few guys that were like, oh, let's go, let's do it, let's have fun. And I was like, man, I wish I could take like 5 of y'all out there, but
yeah,
I was like, I can only fit 2 people on the boat, or not including me. So.
Mm-hmm.
Right on. No, Mike's a neat dude, man. I always like telling the story of when I first met him at church. It's one of those guys, and Mike, forgive me, but I go to this meeting. I'm new to the service team, and I'm like, dude, these guys look like they're straight like Navy SEALs or something.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, this is the part of the team I want to be a part of. I'm like, and as soon as I walk in, they're all talking about killing hogs. And I'm like, right on, Jesus, let's go. And I see Mike standing there, looking like an American badass, loving the Lord like he does. And, we just connected immediately, especially with our service backgrounds. He's Marine and I'm a Navy guy, so we immediately had stuff to give each other crap about. But what an incredible dude, and if you guys don't follow him, definitely want to give Mike a big shout out. Blue Collar Brawler on Instagram. Check out.
He's got some crazy stuff going on for him right now.
Yeah, Project Savior Outdoors. He does a great thing for suicide awareness for veterans, and just an incredible dude.
Yeah, I had a chance to hear a couple of their stories, and I was like, man, y'all are some bad dudes.
Right.
A lot of respect for those guys.
No kidding, man.
Absolutely. And in Florida, is the veteran and youth hunt at the same time, or are they different days?
They're different days. In Florida, you got a youth weekend before and after season, and then the veterans hunt, I believe, is February 3rd and 4th.
Yeah, it's always following the weekend after the end of the season, I think, and then the youth is the weekend after that, I believe. Yep.
So just going back to your duck hunts and stuff, what's, maybe it's from this season or just in your life, anytime, what's one of your just favorite Florida duck hunts that you've had?
Oh, I was with my buddy Brad Clark and Joe Polito, and we went out for a hunt, and Joe and I were kind of going back and forth on where we should hunt, because we had both been doing really good recently. And he was like, oh, my buddy saw a couple ducks here. He's like, let's try it. I was like, all right, whatever. I'm the guest. I'll sit here and hang out. And I think within 10 minutes, we had a 3-man limit of green-winged teal, and about 3/4 of them were all plumed out, studded drakes.
Wow.
That's beautiful.
And we got back to the boat ramp, and FWC was like, what?
Yeah, you don't see that every day.
Yeah, they're like, we're gonna check everything.
Yeah.
Birds.
Oh, that's funny, man. Was like, without giving away any like trade secrets or whatever, was the environment, was there anything like unique about that environment that you were like, oh, that's why they're here, or anything like that?
That's the crazy thing. Not really. Like, it wasn't an open pocket of water. It was actually a little bit more, I guess I'd say, secluded, but it was just surprising. I totally didn't expect him to be there, but he was like, hey, this is what my buddy saw. I was like, all right.
Sweet.
Let's go rock their ass.
Exactly. It always opens up your mind when you see something happen that you weren't expecting. You're like, well, now I got to start checking out these areas.
Right.
Yeah, no, and that's kind of like the beauty of hunting in general. But we had now that I think about it, and talking about green wings not being super prevalent, I feel like, but we had a hunt with Mario, who we were talking about off air, our buddy, and it was, I think we only shot like five teal or something and a mottled, but they were all green wings. So that was, I guess, if you find them in the right pockets,
Yeah, they're also, I've heard and I've seen on my experiences, they are a very migratory based bird. They will not sit in one area for too long.
Really?
Yeah, at least in my experience with them.
Yeah. We had a hunt. It was actually my wife's first like weekend of duck hunting. It was 2 years ago. and we called the video Twisted Teal, and we shot a 6-man of, there was 35 green wings, and we shot like one hen pintail. It was insane. It was just like, it's just one of those hunts that kind of, like, to your point, like, just, it's just teal, but it's unique, that it's just almost all one species like that.
Yeah, especially early season. It's awesome to watch them work. They'll bite on just about everything.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the thing that I love, I don't know. I mean, I would have to put green winged teal up there as one of the most exciting species to hunt. From a light your ass up standpoint, you're just sitting there and all of a sudden you get the, the jet engines come flying by, and the thing about them is that, if you don't know much about teal, y'all, I mean, I would say the standard tradition, if you had to separate like the difference between the habitats of the blue-winged teal and the green-winged teal, is that, you're going to find the blue-winged teal in a lot more smaller bodies of water at times than you would a green wing. A green wing likes a lot of open area, larger bodies of water, that are thin, in depth, just like the blue wings do. But, I find blue wings, when they fly in, they'll do that to you. They'll swoosh you and all that stuff. But it's just, I don't know. It's just different when a group of green-winged teal come in. The erratic behavior, I swear that they all just left the crack house. They all left the crack house and they just, or did a big fat line of Coke or something like that and just said, all right, let's go. We're all dying. And it's such erratic behavior, where the blue wings, I find that they're just not as erratic.
Yeah. I mean,
I feel like teal in general, you gotta let them put their feet down before you think about shooting them.
I know. It's like it seems like from our experience, like when you call the shot on them and they're not, mostly landed, like you're saying, they get so like spastic when they're getting out of there and they're so quick and stuff. Like, you'll pull up and the next thing you know, like nobody shot any ducks because they yelled and then they all flared and then, you shoot like one.
Yeah.
Have you had that like similar kind of thing, Carson?
Oh yeah. Yep. Yeah. We had a group of like 20 land on us once, and at first we all thought they were shorebirds from a distance, and then right as I mean, hey, they're small.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
Right when they fanned their wings at us, like 5 feet in front of our face, we were just kind of locked up. We let them land and then jumped them up, and I think we only shot like 2 out of the 20 pack.
Yeah.
Wow, man! I'll tell you, now you guys are lighting a fire on me with this green wing teal thing. Dude, I think some of the best memorable duck hunts I've had in my life in the Midwest, in Arkansas specifically Delta Thunder Outfitters, I will say, involved green wing teal every time. And there's just this thing that Kade always says that if the green wing teal are in town, ducks are getting smashed. And he said that before. We heard him say that for 2 years before we saw it really even happen. And when you see a group of no shit, I would say we've had days where the average group size is no less than 40 or 50. When you're seeing groups like that from anywhere from 500 to 50, dude, it'll shake you up.
Yeah.
It's very comparable to buck fever.
And the crazy thing about how people call them, like, I don't know how you personally call teal, Carson, but like, in Florida, when we started duck hunting, we just be like, man, man.
Or if it's
call.
green wing, we're gonna throw a couple peeps out there.
Out there, like the people we hunt with, they just like just with that teal hen call, which I mean is mimicking a blue-winged teal hen, but I guess
the green wing hens make the same sound.
Yeah,
but the green wings are the only one that make the whistle. I always love early teal season when I see somebody with a whistle. I want to slap it out of their hand. I'm like, dude, you tell me one blue-winged teal in history that has ever made that sound. But it's really, I mean, and I'm giving you shit, but I've got to believe that the very first time I went teal hunting, I didn't know if they were green wings or blue wings. I just know they were teal. You know,
to my point though, like the way that they just hammer down on that teal call and then they just come in, you're just like, holy shit, I've never seen that before.
Yeah, go watch our video, you guys. If you haven't seen it, Carson, you got to watch it. You go watch that twisted teal, and
I'll send you the link.
Yeah, I mean, like Tristan is saying, we might have 3-4 callers in the blind, and Kade will look at us and go, blow the shit out of that call. And I'm like, what? And he goes, watch. I mean, just like a machine gun. And you're just like, what in the hell? And sure enough, man, I mean, you'll hear it in that video. We're doing it. And you're watching Kade, and he's like, get ready. And then all of a sudden, man, those things bank at about 7 Gs. No shit, dude. They bank at about 7 Gs. And oh, my God, dude. Oh.
Are you getting amped up for? Do you do any early teal season hunting, Carson?
Oh yeah. For about a week prior, I'll be scouting half the state.
Yeah, that's right. You got what? A little under 3 months till that starts.
Yep.
Isn't that amazing what that bird can do, dude? I mean, I know we were talking a little bit earlier about seeing them late and stuff, you know, but it's just truly extraordinary what they do. And until this week, I wasn't aware of really, you know, I guess I haven't really paid much attention to what the green wing teal does. And I know we were talking about that too. But, you know, Cohen Wildlife Lab posted this GPS track that they had on this bird. This green wing teal traveled 2,642 miles.
A green wing?
A green wing.
Wow.
2006. If you look at the map, you guys, I mean, this thing was down at Kade's. Mm-hmm. I'm not lying.
Yeah.
It was at Kade's, and right now it's currently at almost to the border, the northern border of Alberta.
Yeah.
Canada. I mean, look how far up there that is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, and so, but to my point is that, yeah, they travel that far, which is incredible, but these blue wings, the fact that they leave so early, they leave to go back so late, they have over a 60% mortality rate. That means 60% of them die every year. But yet they're one of the most plentiful bird. Why wouldn't you be a blue-winged teal purist?
Yeah, that's a pretty good sales pitch. I ain't gonna lie.
And I wonder why their numbers rebound back so well compared to certain bigger ducks. If they're all breeding in the same area, I mean, I guess they just got to be putting out, you know, more hatchlings. But I mean, it just makes you think, you know, natural predators and whatnot. Like, how are they doing so good compared to others?
Yeah, you know, I'd be interested to see research on that, because you look at like them compared to pintails, which are so finicky, and that's part of their problem with, you know, laying their eggs, is they're real finicky on where they want to put their nests or whatever. But it is really interesting. I'd like to see some research on that.
There's actually a study that U.S. Fish and Wildlife put out recently. I've seen. I'd have to look it up and find it, but they actually broke down basically talking about 3 specific species, mm-hmm. and it's talking about the migration shift.
Oh, right.
That everybody has swore that has happened, and it really isn't that. I mean, there has been some shifting. If there's been any shift, it's been north on mallards. I mean, we were talking about it last week. There's a south point of Louisiana, not taken away from the whole state of Louisiana. It's a long state. But, you know, there has been some changing. But I think blue wing was on there, and they talked a little bit about that, Tristan. Mm. But here's where I'm going with this. What made me think about it was, so with mallards, for example, I think they changed the law this year in Arkansas where you can shoot 2 hens out of the 4 that you're allowed.
Yes. I saw that.
Yeah. But so you've always been able to shoot, 4 drakes, right? That's what everybody that's a greenhead purist is going to do. We don't see that same type of rules with other species. Mm-hmm. The main reason why that I understand this, I heard this from I think it was Mike. He's
I know who
for the DU.
Yeah.
Starts with the B.
Yeah.
But he's a lead biologist. For
Brazier.
Brazier. Yeah.
Yep.
He. No, I just totally lost.
You were talking about why mallards have.
Oh yes. So I think he talked about it. This all has to do with the amount of hens that are lost during the hatching season.
Mm-hmm.
So many of them are killed by predators. We all hear about the eggs and the chicks being killed, but there's such a significant loss of hen that's why the drakes. It's in the teens that morning, and maybe you're chasing ducks or geese, but now it's September and it's 85 degrees and you're hunting early teal or geese. As a waterfowler, you need dependable weather protection that will not break the bank. Founded in 1996, Frog Togs is not only the leader in breathable wader technology, but a company you can depend on to keep you warm and dry, head to toe, no matter your hunting environment. Stay bone dry by using discount code ZD315 for 15% off not only your first purchase, like most discount codes, but how about every single purchase you make from now until December 31st, 2024? So much. It's not like one of those things where they just have more drakes.
Yeah.
All right. No, the mallards lose a lot of hens. So is that just due to how they nest, where they nest? And every bird is different. Every bird's nesting area is different. There's some birds that like to nest on dry ground. You'll get a hen. It wouldn't be uncommon for a mallard hen to have a place right inside the forest that's hidden, and she's going to sit there for however many days, 28 days or however. Right. Except for taking breaks, sitting on that nest the whole time. It could be that has to do with that. That's the point I was making. You guys were talking about, what causes that fluctuation. A lot of it, I think, has to do with just literally where they're, not just where they're nesting, but, and then again, it's got to do with the food that they eat and what they have available. So,
yeah, no, funny birds. They all are. Mm-hmm. Carson, one thing I'm curious about is, at least our experience in Florida, like we have not experienced a lot of windy days. And I heard you mention a little bit earlier about like playing the wind as part of your strategy, and I want to get into just a little bit of just strategy, and what's your theory on playing the wind on Florida, especially with like teal or ringnecks?
Well, and build upon that. Just trying to feel free to talk about different strategies that you like to do. Yeah.
Man, I guess it just depends on the ducks that we're going for. If we're going for, big puddle ducks, teal, whatever, not divers. Divers, that does not matter on the wind. They will get, foot off the water and fly to you 100 yards away until they either land or swim in. But puddle duck, I don't care if I have to stare into the sun the whole morning. I will play the wind, even if it is a slight wind.
Really?
Oh yeah. I mean, I saw it last year. A group of pintails way up in the sky, and we had like a 4 mile per hour wind staring in the sun, but the direction they came was into the wind, right into our face. Yeah. I mean, ideally, I would love to be up under, some 20-foot tall mangroves with the sun at my back and, the wind blowing over my back. It doesn't get better than that. Duck's blinded. Duck wants to land into the wind. They can slow down, especially teal and stuff. They fly so fast. If they have some wind to fly into, it'll really slow them down so they can check it out.
Yeah. Well, and it definitely makes sense to me on those windier days. And obviously, if you're coming from a state from like the Midwest or something, like, of course, that's just like one of the fundamental rules. But like, I guess the reason I ask is just because it's like those days where there's not a lot of wind. It's interesting to hear your story about like those pintails because, you would just think like, oh, well, if there's not a lot of wind, maybe it doesn't matter. But that's interesting to hear your experience that, it still does matter.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I feel like especially, puddle ducks and during late season and whatnot, when ducks get so wary of decoy spread,
mm-hmm.
Luckily on a windy day, your decoys will be moving around a good bit. But, I mean, the ducks want the wind so they can just pretty much hover and try to pick out the discrepancies and what you got. And I've seen it multiple times where, we'll have shovelers or models or, widgeon. They'll sit there and just stare and stare and stare. And then either they commit like no tomorrow, or you'll just see them float off to the next pocket over with, nothing in it. And it can drive a man crazy.
Do you, on those days that aren't super windy, do you use a jerk cord or anything, or do you just run mojos, or what do you?
Yeah, mojos. That's like a first phase type deal for me, unless I'm hunting divers.
Mm-hmm.
But outside that, it's jerk cords, ripplers. Yeah, pretty much jerk cords and ripplers. I'll put out 2-3 jerk cords if I can,
mm-hmm.
and just throughout the spread. And yeah, I love a jerk cord.
Yeah, and it's to your point about ripplers, and I was talking about SoFlo earlier. When I hunted with him, I was really surprised. And I don't know if it played a role with those ringnecks decoying so well that day, but he had a bunch of those. Just the Mojo spinners, where it's just that white, brown thing with the white flash on it. And man, just seeing the action and I was just it really just opened up to my mind. Man, I don't think we're using enough motion in our decoy spreads. At the time. When I saw
Are you
that.
talking about the flickaflockers?
Flickaflockers, yep.
Yeah. That's I've heard a lot of people talk about a love-hate relationship with those. I like them personally.
Well, they break, don't they? Real bad.
They do, but I mean, that's going to be any plastic piece of equipment with batteries.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I'll stick. I've got 4 flickaflockers right now, and I'll stick one in each bunch of decoys that I got.
Mm-hmm. Now, with the actual decoys yourself, or for your strategy, a lot of times from what we've seen or just people we've talked to over the years, really you can get away with some spots in Florida with legit 6 coots. So do you really try to focus hard on mimicking what you're seeing, or are you just more of I'm just going to put out some teal and some coots, or what's your kind of thoughts on strategy when it comes to the decoy spread?
I'm textbook on trying to mimic what I see.
Okay.
And if I don't have a chance to scout the area, but I've hunted it in the past,
mm-hmm.
I'll throw out a small variety. Mainly it'll be coots. I'll throw out a ton of coots, and maybe throw out 1 or 2 pintail just off the main decoy spread.
Mm-hmm.
It just depends.
Yeah. And it's funny. Have you had anybody come hunt with you from out of state, Carson, or is it just mostly Florida people?
Mostly Florida people. I took out a couple dudes last year that were from out of state, and they actually threw me off guard. They were from Alabama, and they were like, "We don't use coots. If you see a coot, you go hunt somewhere else." I was like, "Really?" He was like, "Yeah." He's like, "We hate coots."
So that's exactly why I bring that up, because it's funny, when you get out of, Florida, Louisiana, probably some spots in Texas, people just don't use them. I mean, in the Midwest, you won't see a coot in a decoy spread ever. You won't even see a coot in any hunting environment for the most part, outside the Mississippi River or something. But it's just so wild how many people that I've talked to and been oh yeah, we use coots all the time. They're we would never do that.
Yeah, they're like, what are you, poor? Having to buy coot decoys?
Yeah. Is that just because your decoy faded out and you spray painted it black? What?
Tugboat too.
Yeah, that's right, man. No, it's just funny how the differences hunting in Florida, and a little bit of our backstory, not to make it about us, but we lived in Illinois for, my dad lived there for 35 years, and we were there. I was 15 when we left, and in that whole time, never duck hunted. I think he went on a couple teal hunts.
I got invited for 35 years.
And it took us moving to Florida to get into duck hunting.
Yep.
Funny enough, right there in Northeast Florida, and we're there for 9 years, and that's really the base picture for us for duck hunting is Florida, and that's why we love talking about it so much, is because it's where we started duck hunting,
Yep.
Oh, yeah. I mean, of course, when you compare Florida to Texas, Arkansas, Mississippi, Louisiana, it might not be up there with them, but I'd say Florida does have some really good duck hunting if you know what to look for and have been here long enough.
Yeah, no, for sure. And like the opportunities I think that present themselves from the whistling ducks and the mottled ducks and the plume teal and redheads on the coast, like there's just some really unique opportunities I think that can be taken advantage of.
Yeah, and each low pressure system that comes from the coast, hurricane, tropical storm, whatever. Believe it or not, they push a good little bit of sea ducks in. I feel like every single year. I feel like every single year in the areas I hunt, there's always a couple scoters. There's a couple golden eyes. And, you hear it and you're like, what, are you serious? And like, I swear to God, look at this picture. And you're like, oh, wow. And you're like, all right, yeah, they are here.
They're like, dude, this is like a Wizard of Oz experience.
What about one thing that it seems like in the last like 3 years that it's just like an uptick of is like people killing snow geese. I mean, have you heard of that or seen any of that?
Yes, I do. And there's one spot in particular where for some reason, there's always quite a few shot. I mean, nothing crazy, but you'll see some dude at the ramp holding up too, and you're like, what? Last year on Christmas Eve, we were packed up heading out, and as I'm like putting the last decoy in the bag, I saw an Egyptian goose fly right over my head.
What?
I was staring at it and I was like, man, what is that thing? And then when I got close enough and I saw the colors and the lights circle around its eye, I was like, oh man.
What's like the craziest thing or just the coolest duck or whatever that you've seen killed in your time hunting in Florida?
Man, I mean, it's a common one, but I saw the best blue-winged teal that I've ever seen killed last year by actually another fireman, David Gifford. And when he shot it, like I knew it was a good one, but when he shot it, I went and picked it up. I looked at him, I was like, oh, man, if you don't get this mounted, I hope you never duck hunt again. I mean, it had the orange belly with the black dots all throughout it. It's just textbook, what you'd see on a magazine.
That's beautiful.
That's awesome. Was that right at the end of the season or?
Yeah. That place he shot it for some reason late season, you get nothing but really good plumed out blue wing.
Nice. Hey, so there's something I was been wanting to share with you guys that we're on here tonight, and our listeners too, because I think that there's not a lot of people that are aware of this, but. So if you guys don't follow, do you follow Cohen Wildlife Lab, Carson?
No, I do not.
And I'm not. I probably shouldn't even ask you that question because their migratory expertise is really like more of the Mississippi flyway type of thing. But Dr. Brad Cohen, we've had him on the podcast several times, and they do a lot of really cool technology with GPS transmitters and studies and stuff with waterfowl. And so I just wanted to share this with you guys. Check this out. Remember that teal I was talking about earlier?
Yep.
It went all that way?
Yeah.
I wanted to share two things about some mallards. Check this out. So we have a new flight speed record for our project. This duck was flying almost 100 miles per hour with a strong tailwind. Most of our birds have made it to the prairies, but this drake is leading the pack. He started his spring migration on March 14th, but took a 3-week break just outside of St. Louis. He's probably visiting the Cardinals.
Yeah.
And then while the weather warmed up, he took off again on April 6th and covered 1,000 miles in just 29 hours, while also taking an 8-hour break in southern Minnesota. Here's where it gets crazy. East-southeast winds gusting over 50 miles per hour on the evening of April 6th pushed him 600 miles from southern Minnesota across the Canadian border in just 8 hours.
Wow.
He went 600 miles in 8 hours, bro. That's nuts.
Yeah.
With the crazy tailwind, the top speed recorded on this GPS was 99.3. So now, let's fast forward. Brad puts out this post, and just like that, our speed record is broken. All right? This Drake Mallard caught the same strong tailwind that we talked about in our April 15th post, but this bird topped out at 103 miles an hour.
That's so nice.
He started his, this is what's how weird ducks are, right? He started his spring migration on February 2nd, which is pretty early for our mallards. Our average migration initiation date is usually around mid-March. He took his time moving north, frequently stopping at wetlands throughout Illinois, Missouri, and Iowa, and he caught that big tail one. He has finally settled down in a network of wetlands in western Manitoba, where he's hopefully keeping an eye on that nesting hen.
That's wild. Yeah, he always has some great descriptive posts.
Yeah, I just thought it'd be interesting for us to just kind of soak on that for a little bit.
You know,
Good.
what's crazy is that bird started migrating back before, like, let's just say that bird was in Florida. That bird would have started migrating back before the youth hunt and before the veterans hunt.
Yeah.
What have y'all been thinking about in terms of like the season dates? Because I know in Florida, I checked. I don't know if they're going to update it, but I checked not too long ago. And for this year in Florida, if it still stands from last I saw a couple weeks ago, the season starts 1 week later. We only have a 6-day break between phase 1 and phase 2 instead of 2 weeks, and it's 50 overall days instead of 60.
Really? No,
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about that. I had literally no idea about that.
No, I'd have to look at. I know Arkansas specifically went back and forth about getting rid of the break and starting the season. Is that what they did last year?
No, they were. It
They
was
proposed
on.
it.
Yeah, it was on the books to happen, but they changed it. They were going to start after Thanksgiving for the first time ever.
Yeah, and then have no break.
Is that what it was?
That's what it was.
Yeah.
They were just not going to have a break, but start the season later. And honestly, everything I saw on social media from the duck hunters, everybody seemed like really in favor of that. As far as from, just hunters, they're like, yeah, but they need to put that 2 weeks on the back end of the season.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't really, from the Florida perspective. I mean, I don't really. I mean, the only thing that like top of mind would come to me is it seems like it would maybe. I mean, I understand you're not hunting 60 days, so there's technically less pressure, but the fact that the split's not as long, but you are starting later. I don't know. I mean, what do you think, Carson?
I'm really big on having that 2 week split because I feel like, at least like you said, in Florida, we might not have as many ducks, but we sure have a lot of duck hunters. And I'm definitely in favor of having the ducks, fill back in, drop pressure a little bit. I do wish season went a little bit longer, like maybe the end of February. And, even if we started at some point in December, but I mean, in Jacksonville, Florida, at least, we don't get our coldest weekend until February. Actually, it's probably about that first weekend after you. I mean, we'll get like 20-degree weather, and that'll be our coldest weekend. That's how it is every single year. For some reason.
That's a good point, honestly, because like compared to a lot of the United States and like really a lot of the states in the South, like
in the outdoors, every detail counts. See sharper, aim clearer. From the river's edge to the heart of the flooded timber, Hook and Bullet has your vision covered. Hook and Bullet's purpose-built optics are flawlessly crafted to give you an edge regardless of your outdoor pursuit. Use code ZeroDuck30 for 15% off a pair of Hook and Bullet sunglasses today.
like close around the same time as Florida. And to your point, like you would think there would be a little bit of a justification there to maybe make the argument to push the season back to a little bit into February,
Yeah.
Well, the bottom line is that we need to have scientific data to show that because of these changes, that the breeding stages or the, what do you want to call it, the inducing of babies inside the hens. I don't know however you want to say that, whatever the scientific term is for that. But basically, you don't want to interrupt that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole idea of the hunting seasons are built around that kind of thing. So we don't I don't want to do that. I don't want to take a mama with the babies. I mean, it's a little bit more realistic when you think about shooting a deer with a little embryo starting to grow, but to a duck, I mean, it's a duck and it's little and you might not think about it, but it's still as significant,
Right.
is my point. And so I'd be curious to know, that might be a question next time we have Brad on, Tristan, is I'd be curious to know, have they seen any shifting of when that happens? You know, because to me, that's the only way they would ever extend the season.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
The
There's
only
kind
way.
of a max point you can get to, I guess.
Yeah. I feel like they don't push it at all with big game because they're big game. And I just feel like the heart and soul of a human is more attentive to the big game than they are the small game.
Yeah.
I feel like squirrels, we take it to the rim, baby.
Yeah.
I mean, with squirrels and rabbits, they're like, you know what? If we take out a few of them, it's not such a bad thing. You know, if they bred early, so be it.
I think one of the things that is tough for Florida is it's, you know, from a research standpoint and like getting new just regulations put into place. Like, obviously it's not the biggest, like Pittman Robertson state. It probably, you know, it's obviously not the biggest funded like hunting state. So I would imagine any sort of decisions on anything are probably at a little bit more of an uphill battle versus other states, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Entirely. And the only place I ever hear about people holding meetings and whatnot for this is like Lake Apopka area, or you know, out there closer to Tampa.
Yeah, my wife's mom lives about 1 mile from Lake Apopka and Winter Garden right there.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's funny. I always see I see a lot of the topic going on, you know, on different duck hunting pages on Facebook or whatever, and I'm always like, oh yeah, I know exactly where that is.
Well, you know what? If Travis Thompson listens to this podcast, I'll tell you exactly what I think he's going to say. He's going to say, get on there and call your local agencies and find the meeting. That's what he's going to do. Dude, with vengeance. He's going to be, because, I mean, God bless him.
Yeah, no,
I mean, it's people like that help make the voice in Florida, because Florida is going to fall second to the fishermen. I mean, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Well, and unfortunately second to the new resident, the way it seems.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure you I mean, not to get on a gripe fest, but I mean, you know, any Florida native, I know your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, us fishermen, man, we can't even get the red snapper season changed.
I know, man, and that's the craziest one. It's like, oh my God, the stuff you hear about that, it's just like, dude. I mean, I've only been offshore fishing maybe 5 or 6 times, and it never fails the times that I've gone, unless we're like trolling, that we have to release a red snapper. Like, and usually it's a nice one, and it's like, damn, dude. Like, and you know how it is when you have to bring them up from the bottom. You got to like try to pop their swim bladder or whatever, and hope that they live. You know, and then you're just like, damn, this poor fish, like, could be eating it right now, but because of regulations, I got to put it back. Oh man, no, it's tough, man, for the state of Florida, just the uphill battle with everything that they got going against them, you know, from a conservation standpoint, but or against y'all, but. You know, how do you feel about having an organization like Delta in the state now?
Oh, I like that. I actually went to a Delta meeting up actually where you used to live over there in Bartram.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe at the beginning of last season. But Stacy Whittam. Oh, yeah. And I think we had like a dozen of us all talking about it. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to get to the last meeting. I had some work going on, but I'm excited to have it, you know, especially Jacksonville, or a chapter here in Jacksonville. I definitely plan on going to more of those meetings and just listening to other hunters. Yeah,
man. I think it's great from not only just a community, like, connecting and just being on at the end of the day, like, we all, you know, I know it's a competitive sport at the end of the day sometimes, but like, we really are, you know, not to like cliche Dr. Duck, but like, everybody's on the same team at the end of the day when it comes to conservation and things like that. So I think it's good from that standpoint. And then, you know, to help go to these, you know, have Delta represented at like these state meetings is huge to have a player like that, you know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see what happens if we can get it to really blow up here in the state.
Yeah, there's really no telling because, I mean, the more you would think, the more that can happen, the more that they'll have opportunities to benefit duck hunters in the state on paper. So.
Hey, Carson, I got one for you.
Yeah.
Have you heard about what could happen in your flyway in 2025, 2026?
Oh, no. Oh, man.
Yeah, no, this is a good thing, bro. So check this out.
Okay. All right, sweet.
This has just recently been released. So based on a new habitat survey that the U.S. Fish and Wildlife is embarking on, along with help from folks with DU and a lot of other agencies, what they're doing is they're doing a new pintail study. All right. So here's the cool thing about the Atlantic Flyway. After 2025-26, the season limit will be 3 or none.
You mean the bag limit?
The bag limit, not the season limit. I'm sorry. The daily bag limit will be 3 or none in the Atlantic Flyway.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, when I first heard that, I initially went, whoa. Somebody, that's a typo. They meant Pacific Flyway. Right? But they talk about, this is the limits throughout the whole United States, but what they're saying is all the other flyways, it could be anything from 0 to 3. However, so they could be like 1 or 2 or 3, all right? Or 0, depending on what this new study shows. But in the Atlantic Flyway only, it will be 0 or 3.
Yeah, that's so bizarre.
Interesting.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So
yeah, you're gonna see those numbers rebound quick, at least. In Florida.
Right? You're gonna just see a bunch more pintails posted without sprigs.
Yeah.
Yeah, because to your point about like the green wings earlier or whatever, like when you find, it seems like when people find pintails, they're in there, there's a lot of them in there.
Yeah.
But, well, Carson, man, we appreciate you coming on tonight, man, and we don't want to take too much of your time, but, I want to touch on, before we get off here, people in the Northeast Florida area that want to come on a duck hunt with you, man. Tell them how they can get in touch with you, and then maybe just, run through like, what a duck hunt looks like for you guys, like a typical morning.
Oh man, if they ever want to reach out, follow me on Instagram at North Florida Waterfowlers or No Flow Waterfowlers.
Mm-hmm.
But typically a duck hunt is, as long as you're all licensed up and handled on your end, I pretty much provide everything else. And luckily we got a whole list of spots I like to alternate around, and however many people want to go, if I can make it happen, I will. But evening hunts, early morning hunts, depending on what ducks you want to shoot, I'll always try to get you there. We just might have to do a tad bit of driving, but some breakfast out in the blind, shoot some ducks, and be done before noon. Get back in time for football.
Yeah,
normally a pretty good morning.
Absolutely. I mean, breakfast in the blind and get back before football is always good, and the ducks are a bonus. So, well, cool, man. Yeah, no, I definitely want to. Oh shoot, just knocked over my mic. But I definitely wanted to touch on that before we get out of here. But, yeah, man, I just appreciate you taking the time to come on tonight, and we love talking Florida, and we gotta keep in touch, and hopefully one of these days, when we cross paths there in Jacksonville, we'll share a duck blind together sometime.
No way, dude. If I run into you on public land, I'm like, no way, go hunt somewhere else.
he's gonna be like, no way.
No, I'm gonna be so old. I'm gonna be like, Carson, dude, please help me.
Oh man, and be like, well, at least we know there's ducks here.
Yeah,
that's right. Worst case scenario, we're gonna have a damn good time.
Oh yeah, but yeah, I mean, definitely when you guys come down to Jack's, let's do it. Get on some ducks. I'm ready.
Right on, brother.
Sounds good, man. Well, let's keep in touch, and good luck with teal season, and we'll be excited to follow your journey, and keep in touch.
Will do. Thank you guys for having me on.
All right, bro. Have a good night.
I've been southbound, I've been hellbound, riding on a midnight train, Going too fast now, think I'll slow down, standing in the pouring rain.